K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's Wednesday night. Welcome to another episode of Holistic Health and Hot Mamas. We have a special guest tonight, and she's certainly a hottie in her own right. So we have the Vandenbergs times 2 today. You're muted, Katie. Just to get...
Hi.
Hi.
Now, you might not have wanted me unmuted.
Well, the good news is I have the controls, so if I need to mute you, I can just go ahead and do it. So welcome, everybody. Hello, ladies. All the ladies are here. I will say Courtney is the birthday girl. Tomorrow's her birthday. She's on location in the Catskills. So look at that
Happy
lovely
birthday.
background. So she's celebrating beforehand. I keep seeing her sipping some wine or something. So we'll see how this progresses.
I like it.
Had we known, we all would have had something. But yeah, we forgot. I forgot that you were in the Catskills. So it's great. It's great to see everybody. So let's start with our celebrations. We'll give Katie's going to interject when she feels like it. But let's start. What are we celebrating? Court, we'll go with you. We'll go with the obvious. What are you celebrating this week?
Yeah, so obviously I'm celebrating my birthday. I'm in a mountain cabin in the Catskills with my family, so I'm just enjoying some time off the grid, I guess.
But you're on the
No, I'm just kidding.
Right, this is the one time, and then after this, I'm no technology.
I love it.
Perfect. What about you, Erin? What are you celebrating this week?
Well, I made it to the gym. First time real workout postpartum. So I did my whole cardio and then did some strength training. So I was super excited about that. I actually got out of the house, left the kids, went and did my whole thing. So got to test out my new headphones that Becca got me for my birthday and feeling good. So I got my first workout in.
Perfect. That sounds great. And I have a follow-up on that, but Kathleen, I'm throwing it to what do you have going on there? You have a baby there? It looks like you have a burp rag on.
It looks like I have a boyfriend?
No, a burp rag, when you're burping the babies.
Well, let me tell you what this is. So I really, really, really miss my great niece, Leia. And because she loves me so much, she let me borrow her blankie.
Oh.
I have her blankie with me because I'm borrowing it.
Perfect. I love it.
And I'm just celebrating that I'm still alive, and my son was 27 the other day, and I can't believe I'm still here living the great life. So
well, where else would you be? Well, let's not go there, but we're not manifesting, we're only manifesting positivity. So luckily you're still here. That's certainly good.
I don't have anything else to celebrate. Just celebrating life.
All right. I love that. I am celebrating all of you, and especially Katie. Look at this. Look at her colors. She must not gotten the notice that Katie, we're usually in dark gray and black.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I'm all about color. When I'm in my office, I need to be like stimulated and fun and jazzy. So I'm like jungle chic back here.
All right. So we can take some pointers. Erin's got a little jungle chic going on. She's got the dinosaur world.
Oh, you're in Rocket's or Jake's side.
Yeah, I'm in the boys' room. I actually got kicked out of my own bedroom, so I'm in the boys' room.
Oh boy. All right. Well, that's a story we'll have to listen to later. But Katie, what are you celebrating this week?
Well, I'm celebrating me here, so thank you for letting me join. And I love being here because I get to spend some virtual time with my sister. I'm celebrating that it's Wednesday, like halfway through the week. We're getting it done and, living life.
Love it. So I am celebrating. So this week I had my son's 16th birthday. We went to, it was actually 2 weeks ago, but we went to Hibachi. It was super fun. It was freezing in there, but the kids loved it. They were, flipping, how typically they squirt the sake in your mouth. So for the kids, they use our table. The chef used a baby bottle and was squirting like lemonade or something in their mouths, but that was fun. And my friend Colleen started on the job. I have a friend at my new office, and that was a lot of fun. I wrote down, I'm having a party this weekend to celebrate a family party to celebrate the 16th birthday and my other son's 18th birthday. So I'm looking forward to that and seeing some family. And well, I'll talk about that next week until there's some family fighting. So I'm looking forward to it beforehand. Whether it turns out to be a disaster, I'll let you know afterwards. And we had a big, I also host another show, the Bo and Joe show, and we had a great 2-hour. It actually a 2-hour special turned into a 3-hour special on Black History Month, celebrating Black History Month, and it really was a great conversation for the most part, and we really celebrated some histories, and we talked about some controversy. One of my closest friends, Sonia, is a Black woman. She's an attorney in Manhattan, and we spoke about how throughout the course of our relationship, it really wasn't until very recently that we even started having the race conversation, and it was just an interesting and intriguing conversation. And I just want to throw that out there since we're ending February and we'll be transitioning from Black History Month. So Kim is out there in the Catskills having a few drinks, probably with Courtney. So she's saying, watching not from Target, but in the Catskills, happy birthday to my beautiful daughter, Courtney. And she's saying, fight? We hardly fight. Who are you talking about? Well, my husband's side of the family will be coming as well. I'll just throw that out there. But you're right. We rarely fight. So, all right. So perfect. So we have a lot to celebrate. All right. So let's go get into our topic of the month, which is do something nice for someone you love. Erin, what do you got?
I have really been into, I think I mentioned this one of the first weeks I was on. I'm still really into the Dinnerlies, only because I do cook them up for not only my kids, but also to my mother-in-law. So we dropped off some meals. I did some new recipes, which the kids were liking. So I got to go with I'm big on the Dinnerlies. I got to promote it. It's easy. It gets delivered to your house. It's new, different recipes you might not necessarily try. So I got to give a shout out to Dinnerly for helping me out with that.
What is it? Similar to HelloFresh, or?
Yes. Yeah, it's similar to HelloFresh. I find it a little bit more like user-friendly, a little easier. It's not as complicated. Some of the recipes on HelloFresh I find to be a little bit like too much. So Dinnerly, I think, is a little bit like maybe a step down. It's a little more reasonable price-wise too. But this week we had like a steak, which was pretty good, a chicken dish, and like a stew. So it was nothing crazy, but
Nice. Kathleen, what did you do for somebody you love?
I actually did a couple things. Andrew is actually, I had met somebody and they'd said, I was talking about the gas prices and they're like, why don't you just have them come home on a train? And I was like, oh, I never thought of that. So he has a big truck and it costs like $85 for him to come each way because it's so expensive. He's 3.5 hours away. So I looked up all the Amtrak trains, sent him all the screenshots and said, download the app. It's only $37 each way. And you don't have to drive. You can hop in the train. I'll pick you up in Schenectady. Sorry, we're not supposed to say where we are. I'll pick you up the train station and we'll do that. And then the other thing I did for someone I love, I did, I like to, when I'm on Amazon, which I'm on all the time, I might add, if I see something that speaks to me, I just buy it and send it. So I sent my son's girlfriend a candle that reminded me of her because they went to Cape Cod last year. So I sent her a candle that had little flip-flops on the beach. And, it just made me think of her. And then my son's birthday was the other day, but I haven't told him, and I sure hope that he's not on at the moment. But he was looking for some, I don't know what they're called, those things that you put at the end of books to keep them together.
bookends.
Bookends. Yes. Good one. So I sent those to his house, but he hasn't gotten them yet. And they were just cheap, the New York skyline, which he likes. So I sent him that. So just 2 little thoughtful things I wanted to do.
That is thoughtful, Court.
So if you hear like noise in the background, I'm sorry. There's a bunch of kids here. So my mother-in-law has the same birthday as me. So before we came on our trip, we dropped off like a little gift for her. My daughter made her a cute card, and we got her some candles and a couple of things that she likes. So we did that today before we came on our trip.
Very nice. How about you, Katie?
So, kind of broadly, my boyfriend gets to benefit a lot from my love of cooking and baking. So, Fridays are usually my day where I make him kind of treats. So, he was enjoying mint chocolate chip cookies all weekend long.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I actually, I was thinking about something. I spoke about it last week. How I'm doing the 18 to 18. My son's 18th birthday is Sunday. So I saw this trend on TikTok where for the 18 days leading up to the birthday, they open a little gift. And so it reminded me of this. I reached out to a friend who I know was struggling. Her mother was sick. So I reached out and I know that individual felt alone. So it reminded me of, there's this lamp and he hasn't opened it yet. And I'm sure you've seen it. They're lamps and bracelets. They're called friendship lamps. So when he goes away to college, if he touches the lamp, it'll turn blue. If he's thinking of me, it'll turn blue and in my location, and the same vice versa. If I touch it, it will light up when he's in college or wherever it's on a Wi-Fi. So I thought it would just reminded me that everybody likes to know that somebody's thinking about them. So I tried to tell a few people this week that I was thinking about them. I also, and Erin will appreciate this, today on the job, Colleen asked me, she picked up something for lunch, and this morning it was beautiful 56, and so she asked me if I wanted to walk over why she picked up her lunch. I typically bring my lunch, so I said I'd walk over, and she's like, oh, it's not 56 anymore, it's 42. So I still went and walked over with her. Most people who know me well know I don't walk outside under 50 degrees, so I did do that for Colleen today.
That's huge.
And so we have Colleen here, and she's saying happy birthday to Courtney. Thanks for joining, Colleen.
Thank you.
And Kim is mentioning, I also forgot to mention, Gary has my other AirPod in. He is listening too, so we're off to a great start. So thank you, Gary and Kim. All right, so our next segment is topic of the year. Do something nice for you. I have a big in-depth story I'm going to share, so I'm going to throw it to you, Katie, first. What is something that you did nice for yourself this week?
So something nice that I did for myself is I really want to get back into being active, and where I usually love walking outside. I kind of know myself. I'm like you, Joanne. If it's kind of cold, I'm not doing it. So I politely asked my mom if I could borrow her treadmill, and she said yes. So I set that up in my front porch, and I've been kind of just like walking with a purpose. I'm watching like all Real Housewives while I'm working out. So it's like feeding my soul and like my physical activity at the same time. I'm loving it. I woke up and did it this morning before I had classes, and it was an excellent way to start my day.
All right. That does sound fun. I've been on the treadmill a little bit myself. I got up yesterday because I've been watching, I don't know if anybody else has watched this, a new Netflix series, Sweet Magnolias. So I've been watching that. That's kind of a little bit of Real Housewives, but the fictional version. So you guys would like it. All right. So let's go to Vandenberg times 2. What'd you do for yourself?
I'm glad you didn't steal mine, Katie, because I was nervous you were going to steal it. But something that I did this week for myself was I treated myself to what I consider a pretty large purchase. I bought myself an Oculus, which is going to sound weird, but it's one of those virtual reality, like headpieces and things. So me, Katie and her boyfriend, we went to Best Buy. We each got one for each house. And it's the coolest thing I've had in like a long time. So at night I get the kids to bed, and I always say to Becca, like, I'm going to sneak off into Oculus for a little bit. But it's super cool. I mean, it's like, there's a lot of things like games and stuff you can play. Like I found myself in some like game with like a lot of 12-year-olds who were very nice helping me out learn it. But also too, there is like neat stuff. Like there's a lot of like virtual tours of different areas of the world, and just the virtual reality component of it is it's crazy. It's so, and sometimes it like throws off your balance and makes you feel like totally weird, but it's really neat. So I purchased that for myself, treated myself this week, and that was my gift to myself.
Perfect. So as a coincidence, one of Alex's 18 and 18 was the Oculus. So now cool. I can join in.
I was going to say, we got to play a game or do something. 100%. Did he open it yet?
No, we didn't open it yet.
Oh, okay.
So Patrick has one, but I didn't realize that it has all that fun stuff. So we actually have two now. So somebody will let me use one at some point, I hope.
Yeah, maybe if any of the viewers have game recommendations, but so far I've heard Beat Saber, which is like a dance music combination game, and then I think it's called like Job Duties or something. I haven't tried that one yet, but I think it's like trying out different occupations, which I think can be fun. So I mean, it could be good training for Amazing Race.
So that's funny. I saw those two things posted on your Facebook page, Beat Saber, and I think it's Job Simulator.
Yeah.
So I asked my kids, I'm like, hey, have you guys heard of Job Simulator or Beat Saber? They're like, yeah, Mom, that's like 10 years ago.
So it's right up our alley. Great. We're right on point with things.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, that's so old news. I'm like, all right, great. All right. So, Court, what did you do nice for yourself this week?
So I've been focusing a lot on meal prepping. I have been getting like rice and my vegetables prepped and ready to go for the week. So that's something that's really helped me stay on track, and it's making me feel better, throughout as the days go on.
Perfect. Cool. Kathleen.
Well, I can't like name a specific thing that I've done, but I will say that I've tried to be better for myself going to bed earlier because of my new.
That's huge.
So it's
Andrew Blanky, you're all set.
So I'm actually sleeping a lot more, which is crazy to me. If I just put that phone down and TV off, it's a miracle. You go to sleep.
Love it. So I did something for all of us. I started training for the triathlon, and I did a lot of research into the triathlon. So I know that if we're going to participate in the triathlon, we need either a 1 day or an annual USA Triathlon membership. So we have to think about that. We could also, I'm gearing it towards the Falmouth one. I mean, I know that may not be our choice, but I just had to pick one to choose to just kind of get it into my mind. But there's also a virtual option. If we couldn't make it, you can do it, try it your way. So that's something to think about. And if each individual doesn't want to do the entire leg, we could have 2 or 3 person relay teams.
Oh, that's
so for
cool.
instance, one person wants to do the bike, one person could do the bike. I mean, I'm more inclined to do all 3, I hope, but maybe not. And we could have, several teams. So I looked it up. So the training guidance, there's a lot of trainings out there, 12-week training program, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. I'm more geared toward the 12-week, which would bring us very close, about a month out from the July. So the swim is a 3rd mile. I looked into it. An average swim time for a beginner to swim a mile is 40 minutes. So if we trained to swim for 30 minutes straight, we would be prepared by the time that time comes around. Because
that's not bad.
No. And if it's an open water, they said, which it would be in Falmouth, in open water, the current may push us a little bit further. So a 3rd mile won't be bad. So the guidance said to train for further than you intend to go. So I figure by the time that time comes, if we can swim 30 minutes straight, we should be golden. The bike is 9 miles. An average for a 10-mile bike ride for beginners is 60 minutes. So if we can swim for 30 minutes, bike for 60 minutes, we would be, and a moderate time is 45 minutes. So I figure if we train to ride a bike for 60 minutes, we would do well. And the run is a 5K. So, the average 5K is 30 to 40 minutes for an average person. I think, Erin, you probably do it in 12 minutes, but the rest of us, I started out, I'm building up my endurance on the treadmill. I also looked into the swimming membership at the Sakati Center. It's at $70 month to month. I don't know if you know anything about the lap lanes. Did you look into it?
Yeah, so they're open all the time, anytime the pool's open. So we usually go for like the kids swim on Saturdays, but I think they have like early hours too. Like I'll check into it this week, but I think they're open like as early as 5 a.m.
Well, they are, but I looked into it. But the thing about it is you have to reserve the time spot to use the lap lane.
Oh, really? Okay.
And you can only reserve 30 minutes at a time, and
Okay.
you can't, like, for instance, we could, if we said we were going to meet there on a Wednesday night, we couldn't book Wednesday night, Thursday night. So it's going to take some juggling because you
Yeah.
have to do a session to book the next session.
For sure.
If we went on Tuesday and at 7 p.m., we would have to book that night for the next time period.
Okay.
So it's something, we'd have to do. And and I also, how I am about the temperature. I asked the degrees, the temperature of the pool. She said it runs roughly 79 to 81 degrees. So that's not too bad. It's cool, but we'll manage. So that's good. And yeah, that's what I did for myself this week. I'm gearing us all up for that event, and we can look into other ones, but I think that sounds like a good one. It's on a Sunday, so in the middle of the summer, we could spend the weekend. Kathleen's going to cheer us on. If we really,
I like the idea of the relay. I am like really nervous about the swimming part. I am not a good swimmer at all. Like, I know I could get better, but I think I'm like scared of the open water a little bit.
Okay, so if you're afraid of, what about, Kathleen, there's also the option to walk. Like, could you walk the 3.1? Like, you and Courtney teamed up with someone else, somebody could do the swim. You could do could do the biking, and then Kathleen, you could do the walk in the 3.1. So
yeah, I could play walk it for sure.
Yeah, so we just have to find a swimmer for your team. All right,
we got this, Courtney. Your mom will swim for us.
We got Becca saying, I cannot wait to cheer with three little people. You might be in the ocean now, Becca. So we're gonna have to get a babysitter, but I think you
can pull the kids behind you in a kayak.
Yeah, you're in the open waters, Becca. But don't worry, it's not shark season. That doesn't usually happen towards Labor Day, so you should be good. And I'm not even sure if it's in the open water, but I assume that it is. Kim's saying she'll walk with Kathleen, so that's great. That'll be fun. And and we stay there every summer right there, and it's really a nice area. They got a cute little English. Well, I don't know, the English food pub, they changed to something else, but it's a lot of fun right there. So we'd have a fun tonight. All right, Becca's in. She's going to do the swim. All right, perfect. There's our 3-man team.
Katie, it looks like you might have to babysit. No,
I will.
I thought you were doing the triathlon.
Oh, I mean, I definitely will. You might see me crossing the finish line the day after, but I'll give it a good college try.
That's fine. We'll have to have the boyfriend.
I'll wait for you.
Bobby can watch the kids.
Oh,
yeah,
for
Bobby.
Sure.
We'll bake up some. We'll just bake up and load up Bobby with the cookies, Katie, and he can be on the sidelines. And the good thing is, if we get to, I'm going to try to get a room in the timeshare that I stayed that I own at, and it's right across the street, so Bobby can go back to the room, relax with the kids. So perfect. All right, so our next topic is beauty brands. I don't know if everybody, and I'm going to go to Katie because look at how fabulous she looks tonight. Do you have?
Thanks, thank you.
And Katie, don't be shy. Katie was a manager at Sephora, so she is like the go-to.
Back in the day, Bobby says I can't do any other career changes because I went from being a hairstylist to working in makeup and skincare, and then I was working in like a school district, and now I'm on to my next venture. So Bobby said no more, but I will pull. I didn't know if I was going to be included in this, so I'm so excited, but I did prepare just in case. So one of my favorite things, and I always am like, whenever you see that stamp that says like best of, I always get like kind of cautious about those because a lot of the times you have to pay to get that. So it can be a little biased, but I saw this product and it's called Laneige. I don't know if you can see it. It's, oops, there's a little hair on it, but it is a lip mask. And it's different from a like lip treatment or like a lip balm because it seals in the hydration while you're sleeping. So it's a little weird to put on like a lip product to go to bed in, but it you wake up and your lips feel so hydrated. It's prepared to wear lipstick. And I highly recommend it, especially right now when like you have the heat up in your house and it's dry. I know my lips were like terrible. So I did bite the bullet. I bought it. Totally worth it. I think it's like $18. It comes in like a bunch of different scents and flavors. I went with gummy bears because I don't eat them. So I figured why kind of like, I'll put it on my lips and make it feel like it. But 10 out of 10, I like highly recommend it. You can find it at Sephora or on the Laneige website, but it's terrific. I love it.
Perfect. I'm going to get some. Court, what do you have? What do you have on tap?
So I started using the Jergens Natural Glow Instant Sun Self Tanner, and I love it. I put it on, and I have no streaks or anything, and it doesn't look orangey. I don't know. You put it on, and then you like gradually get color. But I love it. I've been using it. I started using it this week.
I love it. So I have a question about it because I was actually talking to somebody about self tanner today because we saw a friend who's in the Caribbean and she's like totally sunburned and she looks crazy. you know how I am about melanoma. I had melanoma in my 20s and I'm just a big advocate for sunscreen. I used to be, and not that I was ever a huge tanner, but in my 20s I would go to the tanning hut, and that's what they used to call it, the tanning hut, the tanning booth. And so now I'm rarely in the sun and never without sunscreen. And I don't want to say rarely, but I'm rarely in the sun uncovered, like soaking up the sun at the beach. I'm under an umbrella. But so I was talking to somebody, I was saying, I'll say her name. Why isn't Tina wearing sunscreen or why didn't she do a self tanner? And the person said, it was Colleen. She said, because the smell is horrific. How does the product smell?
It definitely has a smell. I don't think it smells bad. It kind of just smells like a tanning lotion to me. Okay. It doesn't have like a coconut or anything. It just smells kind of like a tanning lotion.
But it doesn't smell like a big chemical smell, right?
No, it's not a chemical smell at all. And then another thing is it doesn't rub off on your clothes at all. Like that was one thing I was worried about. Like you do feel like a little bit sticky for a couple of minutes until it dries completely. But then once it's completely dry, you put your clothes on and it doesn't get on your clothes at all.
Great. And I'm going to throw this out there. Maddie is also watching now. So hi, Maddie. We'll say hi to Maddie.
Hi, Maddie.
All right. Perfect. All right. Vandenberg, what's your beauty product?
Unlike my sister, I am not that into makeup, or most of the time, most of my stuff comes from her. But I do want to tell you guys the best mascara that you're ever going to find. It is a liquid lash extension, and it's from a company called Thrive Cosmetics. Not cosmetics. And the reason why it's called that, and I'm such a big believer in it, it's actually a company that donates a lot of its profits to non-for-profits. I think in 2020, it donated to over 200 non-for-profits, including, women dealing with homelessness, women veterans, the LGBTQ community. So not only is it a great product, I always get compliments on it. It makes your lashes so long, but it also it helps a lot of great causes. So Thrive Cosmetics, check it out. Well worth it.
All right. I love that. Kathleen, do you have a beauty product?
Well, y'all know, or maybe you don't, but I probably haven't used a beauty product in about 35 years. So
right,
sorry.
Well, natural beauty. You don't need any beauty products. We'll throw that out. So I am into this primer now. I'm gonna say that I always say I've never been convinced that a primer is necessary, but I'm into TikTok now, and they're always talking about the primer. So I went to the store. I said, I'm going to buy a primer, and so I always look up the reviews and see the best of. Sometimes I see the best of just the drugstore cosmetics because I don't always want to necessarily pick up the most expensive high end, especially in a primer. I said, especially if I'm trying it. So the recommended primer was for drugstores was the e.l.f. primer, and I tried it. And I tried this tone adjusting face primer, and I'm always, I have some freckles remaining from the summer. I'm trying to fade them, but anyway, I love it. So it just, my makeup glides on now. It feels so smooth and silky. I don't wear a ton of makeup, but when I put the primer on, I just think it really is a great addition to my regimen. And I will say that's one that I got, but there's so many other different variations. They have a soothing primer, a poreless face primer, and I'm going to try that next. That's supposed to reduce, I might use it in combination because I just have some pores on my chin and my nose area that I'd like to minimize. They have an illuminating face primer, a hydrating face primer, and even a blemish control face primer. So I'm going to give some of those a shot because I already love the one that I have.
I have to say, Joanne, I fully appreciate that you're into TikTok now. Now we can send it back and forth. And Katie's been our friend Katie's been sending us a lot too. So I appreciate your TikTok love.
All right, I'm gonna have to tell Katie to get me into the group. She hasn't sent me any. All right, perfect. All right, so now I'm going to segue into my topic, the global topics and hot trends. That's usually my area of focus, and I'm going to go to a more serious topic than what we've spoken about before. I don't know if anybody heard the story that came out of Utah about the father in the McDonald's drive-through lane. Did anybody hear about that story? So the father was in the car. He had his 4-year-old.
I don't think so.
He had his 4-year-old son in the back and a 3-year-old sibling. His order was incorrect, and so he decided to pull out a gun because he was so disgruntled with his order. The employees, were terrified. They asked him to pull up. Like, if we get an order incorrect, they ask us to just pull up. So they asked him to pull up, and he did. And at the same time, they called the police. The employees called the police. When the police got there, they issued several verbal commands for him to vacate the car. He would not. So, after several attempts, they pulled him from the car. And then they opened the car door and pulled him from the car. And as they were taking him into custody, one of the officers saw that a gun was pointing at him from the back seat of the car. And he swiped the gun away, and it turned out to be that the 4-year-old boy, and he actually shot the gun. He shot the gun, and the officer did receive an injury. But it came out in the course of the investigation that the father ordered his 4-year-old son to shoot at the police with his 3-year-old sibling in the back. And, I really thought about that, I'm a big law enforcement advocate, of course. I have, my degrees in criminal justice. I worked in public safety for quite a long time. And, I'm disheartened about the campaign now to against police officers. And I'm thinking about, so I want to talk about this story from two different perspectives. The perspective of our responsibilities as parents, number one, and then I want to speak about that incident in regard to the law enforcement officers. So if you think about that moment, and I have to give a lot of credit to the police officer who happened to see the gun, and I'm assuming he recognized that they were children in the back. But the reality is, regardless of who is armed in the back seat and shooting at police officers, I mean, the officers had justification to open fire on that car. So can you imagine if they did so? If they were being shot at, and fortunately he was able to deflect the gun, but what if he was like a foot back and wasn't close enough to, or if he had been shot? I mean, what a horrible thing to do to a child. Regardless, the child's life was in danger, and he was endangering the lives of other people. And how sad that, his father asked him to do so. So I think when you think about people are, regardless of your political views, we're having all of these people talking about defunding the police and disbanding the police. And I think people have a misconception about what that means. And defunding the police the intent isn't to get rid of police forces. The intent is to bring in some social service individuals to complement the police. So that was really the intent of defunding the police. And I think people are getting the misconception that that means, there's just going to be lawlessness and police are no longer going to exist. And I think we're starting to see the impact of that. We're seeing all of these brazen robberies going into all of the malls and the grocery stores. So I want you to think about that and comment on that in a moment. But I also want to talk about our responsibility as parents and our obligation to educate and keep our children safe. And that story just is contrary to either of those premises. I think that parents are responsible for not only education, but protecting our children from harm, providing them with food, clothing, and shelter, to financially support our children and provide them with ethical boundaries and a moral compass, and provide them with supervision. I mean, children have the right to be safe and to be educated, to have medical care, to be protected against cruelty and abuse, and they learn from our example. I mean, even if he wasn't ordered to shoot at the police, I mean, these children or watching their father brandishing a firearm because he was unhappy with his Happy Meal. I mean, think about the really how skewed and just misaligned that is with reality. And we don't know about his mental health, the father's mental health, and I'm always an advocate for that as well. But regardless, I mean, something is amiss here in many aspects and facets of the story. So what are your thoughts? Anybody can hop in.
Well, I think from my perspective, to speak to kind of what you said about, being a parent this day and age, I think something that I've become now that my children are getting a little bit older, one thing I've really been mindful of is they are watching at all times and listening at all times. And I think, starting to see a little bit of mimicking language. So we kind of have to certainly watch things that we're saying, a little curse word here or there. So, that just actions that father was demonstrating, I think it sounds like, I don't know the gentleman, but, some mental health issues. But I think it is so important to know that your children are watching and listening to every single thing you do. So it's so incredibly important to model that behavior for them so that they can grow into, good citizens themselves. So.
Agreed. All right, Kathleen, you usually like to weigh in on these topics. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this one just really makes me sad, because it's going to take a lot, even though they're only 4 and 3, for those children to escape that. Like, they're not going to know now what they've been through, but they're going to carry that with them, that, harsh reality of what they went through during that time. So certainly my heart just goes out to both of them. And, I'm sure the dad has mental health issues, but it's one of those, I hate to say this because it sounds so rude, I think sometimes, but if you have mental health issues, you owe it to yourself to work through them and take care of them. And some people just don't have the capacity to do that. Or the know or the will to do it. So, I have someone that I spent a significant amount of my life with who has a mental disorder. And it's just a very sad situation when you see that they can do something for themselves and they just don't for whatever reason.
And I want to interject in here too. I mean, I'm thinking to myself too. I mean, it's one thing if you don't have the capacity to take care of your own mental health capabilities, but we do have someone who was in possession of a firearm. But at the same time, he was in possession of a firearm. Obviously, he had a license to drive. He had a car. But I have to believe that where are the other adults in his life? Siblings, the mother of the children. If you suspect someone else has mental health issues, then don't allow children in your family to be put in harm's way. I mean, just be mindful of that. Obviously, I'm sure this isn't the first time this gentleman has displayed anger issues, and I think you always have to be mindful of the children in your life, because they say it takes a village, and I do believe that's true. I mean, I've spoken up when I feel as if children have been maligned in the past, or in danger, or in detriment. And it's a touchy subject, but it's really one out of necessity that you really have to carry that burden. I mean, unfortunately, if you can't handle it, and of course we have to report that to authorities, we can't be vigilantes and try to bust up a family. But yeah, that's my advice and guidance. Katie or Court, you have any comments?
I think just to piggyback on what you're saying is the idea about defunding the police kind of being a little bit misconstrued, is people will take that to maybe have like poor outlook for law enforcement or whatever, which they have very difficult jobs. But I think more professionals are coming forward, and there's actually been like studies done about allocating more resources to police departments, as a lot of these frontline workers are having to work overtime and multiple shifts, and there's not enough staff, or maybe their training is old. So by providing them actually more funds, maybe we can get them into, safer places out on the street and feeling more supported with additional staff. But yeah, the defund police movement, I think it needs to have more conversation behind it for sure.
Agreed. So we lost Court just when we were going to Courtney's Corner. All right, let's jump into Ford's Facts. Courtney's Corner is going to have to wait.
Well, this is when I talk about my topic, right?
You're the only one named Ford.
I'm so sorry. I have work on my mind. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Harriet, right?
Well, no, that's our table topics. What about your Ford's Facts?
Oh. The fact is, I'm really tired today.
I'll take
All
that
right.
as a real fact. That's a real
that's
fact.
a fact. All right. Well, Justin's saying Henry
Sorry.
Ford. Henry Ford. We could talk about that.
Well,
All right. Well, we might have to go to the Vandenberg Vault then. We got the ladies here in the sister segment. So let's do that first. It's fun, and we're going to talk about. So, Erin, how do you want to do it? You just want me to ask you the question, and then.
So I don't know if all of you have, if anybody has seen the sister challenge on TikTok. So we had, all of us have sisters that are on the show. Katie is my sister. So we are going to be kind of rotating sisters in weekly, right? I don't know who's up next, but so basically the idea behind this is Joanne has a set of questions that were given to her by Becca. So Becca created these questions, and the questions are going to be like, who is the craziest? I don't know if that's one of them. I have no idea what they are. And if Katie thinks that I'm the craziest one, how should we do this?
So you're to the left
Yeah, but I
of
don't
me.
know if we're the same. So if you think you're the craziest, you raise your hand. If I think I'm the craziest, I'll raise my hand. So then we'll see how many we can get to like a consensus on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
I wish we had some like music, like
I wish we had those joysticks from American Gladiator so I could bop you through the screen.
I was actually gonna do like heads on a stick, but I didn't get around to doing it. So.
Come on.
Next week.
Yeah.
All right. Next segment. All right. So, who is more talkative?
Me.
Agree.
All right. Who is more social?
I say me.
Yeah, I would say that. I'm more talkative, but I'm talkative with the people that I know.
I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Who is the better TikTok dancer?
Definitely me.
I guess for comedy, yeah, for sure. Yeah, like if you want to go viral for being like goofy,
it will still be viral.
I'll go definitely you.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Who is more likely to commit a crime?
Oh.
I think Erin. I'm afraid of everything. Like I had to take off the Oculus the other day because I thought I was really falling. So I would say Erin.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Neither of us. I would say neither.
If I had a couple cocktails, me. But if it's no cocktails involved, you for sure.
Okay.
Who is more likely to win at game night?
Definitely me.
Yeah, Erin's a cheater. I thought this segment was about being honest.
I think we know the answer to this one already because Katie gave it away. Who is a bigger scaredy cat?
Oh, me for
Definitely
sure.
Katie.
Yeah, I'm afraid of everything.
Katie is petrified of frogs.
Yeah, I've never been down to our basement before, and I've lived in my house for 10 years. I blew a fuse. The fuse stayed off the whole night until Bobby came home. I couldn't do it.
That is funny. Who is more likely to be an activist?
Definitely me.
I'm gonna say
Depends
I
on
don't
the
know.
cause.
yeah. The things that I'm very passionate about, I'm like,
We'll say equal on that one.
yeah,
All right, equal.
yeah,
Who is the better driver?
me.
Definitely me.
No.
No.
There's a thing in our family. It's either me or Becca is the best driver, but everyone else is terrible. So
we
no,
have
definitely
another
me.
special guest. It's Mom. Give her rating of drivers.
All right, we have a comment. I'm going to bring it up from Justin. He's saying Katie looks like an activist.
Ooh, okay,
I
I
like
love
it.
it. I'll
And,
activate for you anytime, Justin.
and Justin is saying Courtney's doing some drinking tonight. Who has the weirdest habits?
That's probably a tie. I
Yeah.
think we each have some unique habits.
All
We're
right, so
very
give us a-
specific.
Yeah.
We're very specific. And I think that's also, too, part of the reason. I mean, we definitely get into some disagreements. But yeah, I think, I don't know. Like, I'm very specific on vacation. And so, like, from 9:30 to 4 o'clock, I need to be on a beach with a beverage in my hand. So, like, and I like to go out, like go home, get dressed for dinner and stuff like that. So no one can mess with like my vacation habits. Like I have weird stuff during that time.
Yeah, so equal on
Yeah.
that one.
All right, so we have a comment. Becca saying Katie is definitely the better driver.
Yay. Thanks, Becca.
All right, who is funnier?
Definitely me. Definitely me.
No. I would say you're goofier.
I'll take it.
I think you're more goofy. I would say I'm more funny.
Who is more fashionable?
Definitely Katie.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I don't even have to say it.
Yeah, my idea of fashion is like a t-shirt, so that's it.
The amount of times I get messages from my sister that says I look a mess or I look like terrible, and then I'm always like, why? What are you wearing?
All right, so that's our question. Courtney or Kathleen, do you have a question, a sister question you can throw out?
Who had more fights when you guys were little? Like, who threw more punches?
We didn't really fight that much. I think we fought like
Really?
twice, really.
So there was one altercation, which it may or may not have turned into. We were so involved, we flipped over our family water cooler, and a
Oh my
5-gallon water tank went all over the place.
And that was really it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't that bad.
But I would like to say I won that one.
It's good to know. Well, Erin was probably in one of her t-shirts, so she was preoccupied with the wet t-shirt contest. So it was an entirely different experience for Erin.
Totally. I had a different focus.
All right, so let's stick with Katie. So we wanted to talk, and Erin, I don't know if you want to lead this segment, a little bit about Katie's area of expertise. I actually have some questions about nutrition, but Erin, take the lead here, and let's delve into that.
Yeah, so as Katie mentioned earlier, she is finishing up her degree in nutrition. So what I asked her to kind of speak about today was maybe setting some realistic goals and then that are pretty easily achievable. And then also, too, what are some suggestions she had for really easy, small changes that we can kind of implement on a day-to-day basis that would have some big results for everyone. So, Katie, take it away.
Yay, thank you so much. So yes, thanks for like letting me jump on here. I feel like I crashed like a really cool party, so thank you for that. As Erin said, I am in my last semester finishing up my undergrad degree in nutrition. So I had like a life change about when I turned 30. I personally had like an experience with a dietitian that didn't go very well. And so I just kind of dove deep into researching things for myself. And then I really found like a passion for nutrition, for like health, wellness, all of that stuff. And I wanted to kind of become a resource that I was kind of looking for in that dietitian that I was working with. So Erin texted me and said, "Can you make a slideshow?" I was like, "Oh, well, I can't make a slide, or slideshow, but you know, in the middle of the day, but I'll make a slide of kind of like just 4 easy ways that I think it's, you know, really quick and easy to boost nutrition." I'm not going to sit here and, you know, spout out like, you know, how much magnesium people should get, but just easy, quick tips and tricks. And I think my first thing is whenever I start telling people that I am going to school to be a dietitian, it's kind of like that doctor at the party that they come over to you and they're like, "What's this?" or "What's this on my neck?" And the first question I always get is, "What should I eat?" or, you know, what diet do you think I should follow? And my first question is always, how much water do you drink? So I say, you know, definitely drink your water. Not because water is replacing food in any means, but our body is made up majority of water, over 70%, and we need water for everything. I know people just think that, you know, you pee it out, but in reality, your body needs it for digestion, for breaking down the foods that we eat. I can't, you know, count how many times I went to go get blood work and, you know, not feeling well. They're like, "Oh, you know, you must be dehydrated." And if you're thinking about that, you know, you need water for your blood to flow. So if your blood isn't circulating really well, you know, you're not getting nutrients to your cells. So I know right now on like TikTok and Instagram, everyone's like posting their like cute little jugs of water that says like 10 o'clock, like, "Yeah, you did it, 11 o'clock. I love those. They're cheap, easy, just buy them on Amazon. I know a lot of people will say like, "Well, how much water should I be drinking?" And I don't think it's necessarily like a formula per se. Like nutrition, everything is so different between people, whether it be because, you know, you take certain type of medication or maybe you just require more water. So I know a lot of people will say drink a gallon a day or 100 ounces. I think the best kind of like pinpoint mark is to do like take your weight in pounds, divide that in 2. So if you are 150 pounds, you know, divide that into 75. So 75 ounces of water is good. Or, you know, just drink until your pee's clear. I know that that's kind of gross to say, but it's a bodily function. We all do it. So, and also water intoxication is a real thing. So just don't overdo it like anything. Also, I should mention, you know, whenever implementing anything different, a new diet, even supplements that you can buy at CVS or the drugstore, always consult your doctor. Always tell them changes that you're making. You may not think it's a big deal to you because you just ran to, you know, Target and got this new cool thing you saw on TikTok, but you never know how it's going to interact with different medications that you're taking, different vitamins that you're taking. So when in doubt, always just include your healthcare professionals on any changes that you make. My next easy way to boost your nutritional health is, I always say, like, make a dietary lifestyle motto. So I think that, you know, using the word diet, I don't love to use because it feels like chains. What diet are you on? Oh, you know, I went off my diet. But dietary lifestyle, I know it's semantics, but it feels fun. It feels light. It feels like you really like curated what you want your like health and your, you know, nutritional well-being. So I, like, corny enough, took a little just like tack board and I cut out like foods that I love, foods that I don't love. And it makes you think, what do you really love to eat and what makes you feel the best? And those might not always be in conjunction. I might really like brownies, but after I eat brownies, I may not feel great doing it. So I think that, just thinking about foods that you do really enjoy eating. I love cheese. I love dairy. One time I went on a paleo diet. It was the worst 2 weeks of my life. It wasn't sustainable. I wasn't going to stay on that diet because I hated what I was eating. So there's different ways to make things healthy out there. You see different swaps and different alternatives that you can choose. I just think making that mantra, and you could even do it as a family, saying, hey, I think, Monday through Friday, we eat a lot of takeout or we eat a lot of processed meals. Let's try making more of our food together. And it's like fun activity. And then you're setting everybody up for success. So I think that's really important. Another thing I think is eating a variety of foods. And it's really true. I don't know if you've ever heard that saying, like, eat the rainbow. It's not some like hippy dippy idea that's out there. There's a lot of truth in it. So by eating diversity in, fruits, vegetables, meat, dairy, you're eating all these different colors. There's different vitamins, different minerals, different benefits to them. And so I know when I go to the supermarket on Sunday, I see people just like loading up, 5 different prepackaged salad meals. And that's great, but they might be missing the mark and creating, deficiencies by not including other types of foods. Also, it creates like excitement in your diet. And isn't that, what we want? We don't want to sit down and say, oh, got to eat this again. So one thing for me that I've really learned is it kind of created all of these new culinary experiences. Prebiotics, probiotics, I know those are really big right now. And so instead of buying expensive pills, why don't we incorporate, fermented foods into our diet, like kimchi or sauerkraut, things that you may not always eat, but they really could be so like beneficial and really boost our health. So definitely eat a variety of different types of food. And my last little tidbit is plan ahead. I don't want to say plan to fail, but we all have things that come up. Our kids get sick. We have to bring our dog to the vet. We had just a horrible day at work. So take the time that you do have, like Columbus Day. What are we doing then? Take the day, have some fun, put on some really great music in the kitchen and just start making your favorite meals to pop in the freezer for that random Thursday where your boss yelled at you, you came home and you just don't feel like making anything. Because what happens is we start giving ourselves little inches here and there saying, well, I had a bad day today. I'm just going to go to the drive-through. Well, then those things start compounding and now we have habits formed. Maybe not the best habits, but I always say, take the time, invest in yourself. How amazing is it to pull something out of the freezer that you made weeks ago, and now you have this delicious meal that fits into your dietary lifestyle, and it's making you feel great that you invested that little bit of time to then make, right then and there, easy and, healthy. So always, take the time, have fun. I also think like cooking and baking doesn't get enough love. I know like during the week we spend so much time stressed out. It's fun. It's like a creative part of our brain that we're not using. And so, get the family involved, take time for you to decompress and stack up your fridge and freezer and your favorite healthy things. So it may seem really simple, but I think with more nuance to those points, you really get to like start carving out, things for your dietary health. So, thanks, Justin.
Well, Justin's saying, Katie is speaking facts. And all of the, I'm pretty well versed in nutritional components as well, but in all the times and things that I've researched and read, I never heard anyone say, plan to fail. I love that, to have a healthy dinner frozen. So I think that's great advice, because even tonight, I will say, I did have a frozen meal, but it was a processed frozen meal because it's exactly what happened. I had a rough day at the end of the day, and I didn't feel like cooking. I was feeling disgruntled, and I came home, and luckily I did defer to that meal. But if I hadn't had one of those frozen meals, and they're not the healthiest because there's a lot of sodium in them, I would have totally derailed and binged on something that wasn't healthy. So I think that's great advice, and thank you.
Yeah. And not to say that, that isn't like we need to give everyone, we give so much grace to other people and then we're so tough on ourselves. So say, we did hit up, drive through and got a burger and fries and we felt great, or not so great afterwards, but we felt good in the moment because it was comforting to us. But just making sure that those aren't being kind of like abused and used. And even just like little things like going to the market and grabbing rotisserie chickens. They're not terrible for you, but would you have cooked with that much salt at home? Maybe not. And then when you're grabbing the rotisserie chicken, what's right next to it? Oh, pre-made mashed potatoes and mac and cheese and things like that. So convenience foods, how you mentioned, they're not terrible and they're great in a pinch, but being reliant on processed or prepackaged meals, and even myself, I follow a little bit different of a dietary lifestyle, and even me just reaching for snacks, sometimes I grab for those and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna put those back because there's just more processing to them that I would like. So getting those snacks, and even just like cutting up a bunch of stuff on Sunday and then just grabbing for them during the week, celery, carrots, whatever you may be. So definitely.
Great. So I wanted to ask you a question because, I'm inclined to keto sometimes as well. But is keto, especially when we're talking about we're gearing up to go into a training regimen for the triathlon? I mean, is keto conducive to that, or do we need more carbs when we're training at that level?
Yeah. So for and you'll see in my descriptiveness, or my description of how to boost your nutritional health, I always kind of, put my dietary lifestyle to the side because I know it's not for everybody. And how you mentioned, it may not be best for somebody who is training for endurance or for running, because of the fact that what fuels us is glucose, carbohydrates. So if you're eating a diet that doesn't have those things, your performance may lack a little bit. So with me, especially because to be honest with you, I don't love to run. My sister, she's amazing. She could sit and run 5Ks all day without training. I am not like that. I will run around the block and say, I'm done. But so I tend to do maybe a little bit more of, light workouts or just like light weightlifting. So that works really well. But for endurance athletes, you do need a little bit of substance for carbs and glucose to get you through training. What's going to happen if you don't have those? Because for people who don't know, the ketogenic diet, it changes what your main source of energy is. So for the most part, a standard American diet, you're running off of carbohydrates. This ketogenic diet, it flips that script. So you're running off majority of fats, and and the fat to energy production is slower. So that's why you don't get as much energy. It's a little bit more efficient because we have more fat stores in our body, but it may not be good for quick bursts of energy like, working out or, trainings.
All right, great advice. Cord or Kathleen, you have any questions for Katie or any comments?
No, that was really good reminders on changes that we should be trying to implement each day. I know for me, I'm trying to drink water, and it reminds me that it should be like half of your body weight. Like I've always known that, but I'm kind of in making sure that I drink my water.
I've been waiting.
Yay, I know. Oh yeah, you have one. Yay, I know. And I feel bad. You hear me over here. I never go anywhere without a bottle of water. And if you see me not have a bottle of water, something's wrong, because I love it. It's just, I can't, there's two bottles right over there. There's two bottles right here. So I just think water's so important. And I think that there's that old wise tale. I don't know how true it is, but they say, a lot of the times when you think you're hungry, you're thirsty. Maybe, but I just know how important water really is. And it definitely will, save you some calories from, choosing soft drinks or juices. I should be a water PR spokesperson if they ever needed one.
Perfect. We'll put that on TikTok. Maybe we'll get a contract.
Yes.
So what about you, Cord? We lost you before. We were trying to go to Courtney's Corner, but instead we went to Vandenberg's vaults. So we want to thank
I know.
Katie.
Oh,
And
it's really windy here. So you guys are, every time I hear the wind blow, you guys are breaking up. So it's kind of a little hard for me to hear you guys.
All right, so we can hear you. So we'll throw it to Courtney's Corner. Do you have anything on tap?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about how to prevent mental health issues from developing in children. I think that there's 3 components to help with that: flexibility, autonomy, and problem solving. So I was thinking for the next 3 weeks, like this week, I could talk about flexibility, and then the next week and the week after, I can talk about the other parts. When we see anxiety and depression starting to develop, we often see rigidity, a lack of independent problem solving, and a lack of confidence going out into the world. So when something doesn't go quite as planned with my kids, I try to explain, I know you really wanted to leave at this time, or I know we were supposed to go here today, but now we have to bring the dog to the vet because he swallowed a sock or something, whatever it might be. So I just acknowledge, I know you're going to be disappointed, but we have to be flexible with how our day goes. And then when you see a child in your family being flexible, thank them. I noticed you were very flexible today. Thank you. Or, have like a little dance party to celebrate, the flexibility. And then when you see a child, being rigid, tell them, it looks like you're stuck in how you wanted this to go right now. And I understand that, but how can we be flexible? And then the more you talk about flexibility, the more they will realize that it's something that your family really values. And then for small kids, I like to, use uncooked spaghetti versus cooked spaghetti. We want to be cooked spaghetti. We want to be flexible and able to move around and, work things out. So that is my tip, something to think about for people with small kids.
Okay, love it.
Love it.
Love it. All right, great. So now we're going to go to our table topics. I'm going to be honest, I totally forgot about Tierney's tidbits, so I have nothing. But we're over time anyway. But before we wrap things up, of course, I do want to continue with our table topics. So last week of celebrating women for Black History Month, and then it's all open. We're still going to do it, all holds barred, but we're not going to primarily focus on Black women. We'll open the floodgates and see whatever women inspire us. But who do we have? We're going to speak about Harriet Tubman today as a historical figure. So Kathleen, what are your thoughts on Harriet?
Honestly, I really felt like I was back in school researching Harriet. It was so interesting to learn again about Harriet Tubman. I don't know if any of you know, but Harriet Tubman was not her name. She was actually born Araminta, and they called her Minty Ross, and she adopted her mother's name after escaping slavery. So she wasn't always Harriet Tubman. Her birth name was Araminta Ross. So I thought that was very interesting. She had so much that she accomplished in her life. So much. It was crazy. She had aside from helping her family and, thousands more escape slavery, she helped troops in combat. She cured a disease called dysentery. And basically, at the end of the day, she was just a badass woman, honestly. She had surgery for her. She had narcolepsy. And so she got the narcolepsy. Someone threw something and it hit her in the head, and she started having narcolepsy from it. And she actually had brain surgery, and she wanted to be just like the Civil War people that got hurt. Like, people would have their leg amputated, and they didn't have anesthesia. They bit on a bullet. She had brain surgery and bit on a bullet and did not have anesthesia when she had her brain surgery to try to fix her narcolepsy, which I thought was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know. I couldn't do that. I couldn't even have a baby without anesthesia. So, I mean, go Harriet. But she lived to be 91 years old, and she lived her life in a house that she founded, and she actually lived in Auburn, New York.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a charity home that she founded, and that's where she died. God, so much to know about her. It was crazy. It was very exciting to look into everything she did. But she was, the last thing I'll say, and there was so many more things about her that we could learn, but she was a Union Scout during the Civil War, and she did apply for, veterans compensation, and she didn't get it at first, but she did get the compensation when she turned 78 years old, and she was buried with full military honors.
Wow, that's impressive. So one thing I want to remind people about is that, she really helped, she really founded the Underground Railroad and helped, many slaves. I mean, 70 enslaved people on her own, but they said that campaign and trail of secret networks and hidden housing and advocates, the estimate is that the Underground Railroad helped free 100,000 people from slavery. I think that's so impressive. And I read a little bit about her, and I wanted to read a quote that she said. She said, and she was actually, this reminded me of you, Erin. She was actually a spy for the Union Army during the Civil War. I could see you and I behind the scenes as Harriet Tubman. But she said, and so she seems like she had a sense of humor as well. She said, I was the conductor of the Underground Railroad for 8 years. And I can say what most conductors can't say. I never ran my train off the track, and I never lost a passenger. So, and
she never lost a slave ever.
So that's so impressive. And Bodine saying, and after her fellow soldiers fought for her to receive her they fought for her to receive her benefits. So that's impressive. And in that time, think about it, men didn't fight for women, particularly in the military, that often. Think about how women weren't always well received in male dominated fields at the time, and certainly the military was a male dominated field at that time. Even today it is, but it's certainly the playing field is being leveled. So I love that. I forgot about Harriet, and I read today too about her name. Her name was sound kind of exotic, Araminta Ross, and then you had to go to Harriet Tubman. That's a big change. That's a sacrifice. I don't know if that mattered to her, but women today, that would be a sacrifice for them. So she's pretty impressive, for certain.
Yeah. I can't even tell you. And I assumed that everybody knew the Underground Railroad, so I apologize I didn't bring that up to begin with. But she actually had a bounty on her head.
Really?
For $12,000 back in the day, and that would be about $330,000 now. And I don't know.
Wow.
It was just amazing to read about her. I'm just so glad that I had that little homework assignment because I learned a lot about her. And it was exciting. She had a code name. Her name was Moses too. Just so you know.
We need code names. Let's work on that for next week.
Okay.
All right, perfect. So Courtney, who do we have for us our modern day Black American woman who's impacting and changing the world?
I have Kamala Harris. Both of her parents are immigrants. Her mother is from India and her father is from British Jamaica. She has a younger sister also, and her family lived in a primarily Black neighborhood in California. When she began kindergarten, she participated in a comprehensive desegregation program. She was bused to a public school in a more prosperous neighborhood. It was previously about 95% white, and then after the desegregation, it became 40% Black. Her parents divorced when she was 7, and Harris had said that when she and her sister would visit their father on the weekends, the other children in the neighborhood were not allowed to play with them because they were Black. Kamala Harris attended University of California, Hastings College of the Law. And while she was there, she served as president of its chapter of the Black Law Students Association. She worked as deputy district attorney in Oakland, earning a reputation for toughness as she prosecuted cases of gang violence, drug trafficking, and sexual abuse. And in 2010, she became the first female and the first Black person elected to Attorney General of California, winning by a margin of less than 1%.
Wow.
In 2017, she became the first Indian American in the Senate and the second Black woman. Shortly thereafter, she announced that she was seeking the Democratic presidential nomination in 2020. And from the offset, she was seen as one of the leading contenders. But by September 2019, her campaign was in serious trouble. And in December, she dropped out of the race. She continued to maintain a high profile, becoming a leading advocate for social justice reform following the death of George Floyd. And as racial injustice became a major issue in the US, many Democrats called on Joe Biden to select an African American woman as his vice presidential running mate. In August, Biden chose Harris, and she thus was the first Black woman to appear on a major party national ticket. In November, she became the first Black woman to be elected vice president of the United States. And then a quote by her that I really liked was, my mother would say, Kamala, you may be the first to do many things, but make sure you are not the last. And I think that is really important, and it shows that representation really does matter. I think it shows, the young people who look up to her that, you can do it. If there's no representation, they have no hope. So I think them seeing her, it gives, young Black girls hope that they can be there one day.
And I think just women in general, and just because we're shouting Kamala out doesn't mean that we all have the same political affiliations. We're just recognizing her as just a remarkable woman. And Bodine's pointing out she also went to Howard University and HBCU, a historically Black college or university. So that's very significant as well. And I love her quote. I wrote down a quote of hers as well. It said, Kim saying, awesome job, Courtney. I agree. She said, at every step of the way, I've been guided by the words I spoke from the first time I stood in a courtroom, Kamala Harris for the people. So, I do think that she's passionate about, and I think most politicians are, they're really passionate about helping the people that they're representing. And I think they all get into politics probably with good intentions. Sometimes it goes awry, as we know, on both sides of the aisle. But, she's just a remarkable woman in every aspect of life. I love her ADA status. I love the Attorney General aspect. And I think that she's just an intelligent woman who's trying to make a difference in the world. And that's what we celebrate. And Bodine's leaving us. He's got to prepare for our 10 o'clock show. Okay, I'll leave you awesome women now. Great job. Thank you, Bodine. We're following the footsteps of the Bo and Joe show, and we're running late. We're running behind schedule. But so all right. So the Hot Mamas. Thank you, Bodine. So the Hot Mamas Challenge, we haven't been doing a great job at. We might have to drop that segment and just move forward. I don't know if we're having much success there. So we're evolving. We're flexible, Courtney. I think that we're going to drop that piece unless anybody objects. I think we're just kind of going through the motions on that. We have a lot of other great things. And so let's, Katie, if you have any more nutritional tips as we move forward, you're certainly welcome to join us as a regular segment. We're always open to inclusion and expanding our circle. So keep that in mind. You're always welcome here. And can we close it out on a happy birthday for Courtney? The hot tub is waiting. We will, but we're going to go to closing. We're going to go to closing thoughts first. And Aaron, what do you have for closing thoughts tonight?
Just thankful to be here. I hope everybody has a great week coming up, and stay active, drink your water, and free Hillary.
All right, Katie, we're going to you.
Oh my gosh, I get a closing thought. I feel so honored. Yeah, well, I want to say again, thanks so much for having me here. And I just want to say, everyone's trying to do the best they can. So give yourself some grace for the rest of the week.
Love it. Kathleen?
Thank you again for an amazing show, and thanks for all of your great guidance. As usual, I love it. And just a reminder, I know I say it all the time, but have y'all made your routine physical appointments and your routine colonoscopies, blood work, routine physical, routine mammo, routine OBGYN? Get out there and get it done. It's so, so important, and we're already in March. So see you in March.
All right, March.
Get those appointments in.
Oh, so this is something I want to talk about for next month. I want to dedicate all of next month to Irish heritage, St. Patrick's Day, all the fun things. So let's honor women of Irish heritage next month. And
look at all these Irish names.
Exactly. And we can do festive foods. I don't know about beauty brands, but we can certainly do a lot of festive foods and drinks for St. Patrick's Day. And I think that we're all Irish primarily. I mean, we may have a little bit of mixed blood, but I think for the most part, we're all Irish. So that's something great to look forward to next month. Court, well, before Court, we'll go to you for closing thoughts.
I don't think she can hear us, but happy birthday, Courtney.
Can you hear us?
I just want to say thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks, Katie, for being our special guest. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right. So thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So thank you, Katie, for being
thank
a special guest. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and have a great night.
All right,
Sorry for the technical difficulties on my end.
That's right. So happy birthday to you, Courtney. Well,
Happy birthday.
I can't, I usually I want to give you the spotlight, Courtney, but I can't because I got my main man behind the scenes. No show is complete without thanking our producer behind the scenes, Chris P. Bacon. He's not one of the hot mamas, but he is, we'll say he is our hot producer. So we want to thank Chris, and you can play us out, Chris, and we'll see everybody next week. We'll be in March,
Happy
the month of
birthday
spring.
to you.
See you.
Happy